Hello and welcome back to the Reptile Goths YouTube channel. As always, I am your host, Morgan. Today we're going to be doing a species spotlight, and the species we're looking at today is the Atlas moth. Now, to pick this species, I did kind of reach out to my personal circle of the handful of people that I decide to communicate with that don't have scales, and they did choose this species, and in my research I realized it's probably Animal Crossing related because the first hit I got was how to catch one in Animal Crossing. Unfortunately for you guys, that's about all the Animal Crossing talk we're going to do right now, since I don't own a Switch, so I can't play Animal Crossing. But you know what? At least we can talk about the real thing. Now, if you were to go look for an Atlas moth out in the real world, not just the virtual world created on the Switch, you can find them in the dry tropical forest of South and Southeast Asia. These animals, when you find them, are going to be very large, with a wingspan reaching up to about 24 centimeters or 9.4 inches. And the area that the wings reach is about 160 square centimeters, which ends up being about 25 square inches. So they are very big moths, and they are in general larger than a hand if you were to hold one. But despite having these giant wings, they have a relatively small body in comparison, especially when you look at other butterfly and moth species that are fairly proportional. Now, males have very large, kind of pretty branched antennae, while the females are overall a bit larger and a bit heavier than their male counterparts. Now, when you hear the word moth, you probably think of something fairly dull and lacking in coloration. And that's just not true when you look at Atlas moths. They are a fairly pretty reddish brown color with these white, black, pink, and purple lines that make a pattern that is considered to look like a map, sort of, on their wings. They also have some scaleless triangular windows that are going to be outlined with the black coloration. And on the forewings, which is the top part of the wing, they have these extensions that resemble snake heads, which gives them their name in, I think, Mandarin, that roughly translates to snakehead moth or something along that lines. However, the underside of their wings is fairly pale in color. It's this top portion that has those pretty designs and colorations. And now, it's my understanding that in Animal Crossing you will learn that they're one of the largest moth species and that they have a relatively short life cycle. And this is true. The adults generally don't live very long. But let's get a little bit into what their life cycle is like, and a little bit into why adults don't live that long. Now, they do have the classic butterfly or moth life cycle where they hatch from an egg, become a caterpillar, pupate into that lovely little cocoon, and then emerge as an adult. Specifically, the eggs are going to be laid on the underside of the leaves of food plants, and they kind of tend to hatch after about 2-ish weeks. The caterpillars are even fairly pretty. When you look at them, they're going to be a dusty green color with spines, like a darker green dot outlined in orange on the very last segment of their body. These caterpillars will grow up to about 11.5 centimeters, which is about 4.5 inches in length, and they can be about 2.5 centimeters thick, which is about 1 inch thick. Now, once they do reach this maximum size, they will go into the portion of their life where they will craft their cocoon or pupate. They will make this cocoon using the silk that they produce and dry leaves. The particular cocoons that they make tend to be about 7 to 8 centimeters in length. And they will attach it to a twig with a strand of silk. And then it takes them about another 4 weeks, depending on the environment, to be able to actually emerge as an adult moth. Now, the adults lack a mouth, so they can't eat once they come out of the cocoon. These adults live entirely on the fat stores that they collected during the caterpillar phase of their life cycle. The females specifically don't travel very far because of this, and the males are the only ones that really fly to the female that releases the pheromones through a gland in their abdomen to attract a mate, which is what those fairly large antennae on the males are for. They're so that they can find the females, because they really don't have long until they eventually die. To help conserve their energy, they tend to only travel at night a lot of the times. For whatever reason, that helps them conserve energy, since moving with such large wings does take a lot of energy. And shortly after mating and laying eggs, the female will die, and the males will die as well. So basically, they only have as long as their fat stores last to live. So we know that the adults don't eat since they lack a fully formed mouth. But where exactly do their fat stores come from, and what do the caterpillars actually feed on? Well, essentially they feed on the foliage of citrus, guava, cinnamon, and the evergreen trees that make up the forest that they live in. And that's basically what there is to being an atlas moth. They have a classic butterfly or life cycle, and they don't really live that long. They can be found throughout the year, but it seems like they're more likely to be found in the spring or summer, because that's when the environment is optimum for them to finish their transformation from caterpillar to adult moth. There is, however, a human connection, because they do make a silk that's not quite as high in quality as the silkworms that have been domesticated and are used to make the silk that you will see in any shop that you go into that sells clothing or material to make certain items that are made from fabric. They do harvest the silk in some places. It's just not at those commercial levels, since it is a fragmented strand, not a continuous strand. It is considered a lower quality than that from the silkworms. And in some places like Taiwan, the cocoons, because they are so large, are used as change purses. And there is a Japanese subspecies that is thought to be the inspiration for the movie Monster Mothra, but that's not necessarily confirmed. That's just a fun little factoid. All right, well, that's about what I have for you about atlas moths. They are a fun species to look at. They are pretty, and good luck catching them in Animal Crossing, I suppose. That's all I have, guys. I will see you all next time, hopefully very soon. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already done so. Also remember to follow me on all my social medias. The links are down in the description below, and check out thereptilegoth.com. If you found any value in this and you would like to support the channel, assuming you have the means to do so, go ahead and check out the Patreon. Again, that link is going to be down in the description below, just like everything else. See you next time.